After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sate on the throne. And he that sate was to look upon like a jasper, and like a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts, full of eyes before and behind. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sate on the throne, who liveth for ever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him that sate on the throne, and worship him that liveth for ever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. And I saw in the right hand of him that sate on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book, and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. And he came, and took the book out of the right hand of him that sate upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. The second of Dürer's images looks as though a camera had drawn back from the first. John, God on the throne of judgment, and the 7 lamps still dominate the composition, but now we can see the entire heavenly host framing this vignette, and earth stretched out beneath. The clouds, winds, and lightning are, like the solar visage of God, part of the sky god imagery which in any other context would remind us of Zeus or Apollo, but which the monotheist taboo makes us reluctant to acknowledge as the specific iconography of the God of the Hebrew Bible. These details Dürer reproduces in the style of Renaissance classicism, but their ultimate source is in the Canaanite mythology, which helped shape the prophetic imagination. The elders are 24 in number, because 12 and its multiples were, like those of 4 and 7, considered particularly magical in the apocalyptic milieu. The point of departure for the 12ing may have been the number of the tribes of Israel, but to guess what precisely was meant here would be speculation misplaced. The elders form a supernatural company, so their roster must have an occult number. Beyond this, their venerable age and royal garb express the wisdom and authority of the King of Kings they serve. The 7 lamps suggest the 7 spheres through which one ascends to the highest heaven where God is enthroned. The 4 beasts were inspired by the wheels of God's throne in the 10th chapter of Ezekiel. That throne had wheels to show God's omnipresence, his activity in all directions simultaneously. Ezekiel's wheels, like these beasts, were covered with eyes, to show God's omniscience. But while each of Ezekiel's wheels had 4 faces, those of a cherub, a human, a lion, and an eagle, possibly to suggest qualities like zeal, intelligence, courage, and decisiveness, here we have 4 fully formed animals, each 6-winged and many-eyed, the cherub persona having been exchanged for a calf. I won't trace back all the references to biblical literature in the images. This is late apocalyptic writing, and as at the end of any artistic tradition, the allusions are many, sophisticated, contradictory, and aim at startling and excessive effects, as in Baudelaire's poetry or Mahler's music. This overheated religious atmosphere was the context of the Dead Sea Scrolls community, John the Baptist, and Jesus. Of particular interest is the image of the Lamb that was slain. This is the one point where we leave the end of the Jewish prophetic tradition and enter upon the earliest and still very Jewish Christianity. This is the earliest appearance of the Agnus Dei motif. The first Christians naturally came to see in the lamb, traditionally sacrificed to make the Passover meal, an emblem of their leader, whose death they were struggling to view as a condition rather than a refutation of his messianic claims. For Jews, all the details of Passover have primary reference to the deliverance from Egypt, a liberation that they viewed as every bit as much political as it was spiritual. Thus, this paschal lamb is returning with a very this-worldly agenda. The 7 eyes and 7 horns make him a cosmic apparition of frightening power. This paradoxical, quasi-monstrous, and most ungentle lamb opens the history book of the future, unsealing the end times. We shall soon see that his death was a strategic sacrifice in an apocalyptic war. The landscape below the illustration sharpens the contrast between the Gothic imagination and the late Semitic delirium here so startlingly conjoined. It is Dürer's ennobling Renaissance realism and his calm, sometimes clinical, graphic perfectionism that makes it all so plausible, so seamlessly believable.